Okay, can everybody still hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, good. Thank you, guys. I have this bad habit of popping my volume button off. I don't know how I do it. We'll just give it another couple minutes and we'll get started. Welcome everybody as you're coming in. See, we have a nice group of people this morning. I apologize. I hope I don't lose my voice. It's definitely fall here. It's so cold. I'm freezing.
We are finally starting to see a little bit of cooler weather in Florida, but still warm in the afternoons.
Oh, and how is all the cleanup going?
It's going pretty well.
Oh.
Slow and steady.
Oh my goodness. Never seen anything like it between that and Texas and poor Puerto Rico. Ugh. Terrible. But every day is a gift. I try to remind myself of that. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Well, I will go ahead and kick us off here just so I make sure that Kristin has plenty of time. Welcome everybody. It's wonderful of you to come as usual. Thank you for joining us today, and we have with us Kristin Wall, who's going to tell us 5 ways to empower yourself professionally. I know Kristin really well from working with her at AHDI. She's the Senior Programs Coordinator and also the Editor-in-Chief of Plexus Magazine for AHDI. She co-authored the CMT Exam Guide, A Walk Through the Blueprint, and she also co-authored the QME, as I call it, but the Quality Medical Editing for Healthcare Documentation Specialists. It's a really cool book, and if you ever get a chance to purchase that and work on that, it is just incredible. Lots of great files, lots of great tips for you in editing type mode. She's also a freelance copy editor for numerous medical transcription and style-related texts, as well as fiction books, one of my favorites. Having a meticulous eye for detail, and that is exactly the truth. She is just wonderful. She has over 18 years experience in the healthcare documentation industry. She enjoys mentoring and paying it forward. She's been a speaker at a variety of local, state, and national AHDI conferences and credentialing study groups. So welcome, Kristin, and without further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for having me back again. I'm very happy to be here and very honored to be asked to be back. So, as Audrey mentioned, today we're going to be talking about 5 ways to empower yourself professionally. So, one thing to keep in mind is that success doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. When you are eager to achieve success in your life and business, it's important to know the strategies, mindset, and habits that will pave the way to make your dream a reality. While this is easier said than done, there are a number of strategies, tips, and methods for ways to succeed. Many of which can be found by searching the internet, but I do hope to provide some insight into these areas today. It certainly can be overwhelming to think about this process or to wonder where to begin, but the most effective way to tackle those feelings is simply to jump in and begin. Start building your personal qualities that get you moving towards your goals, no matter how confusing or chaotic things may seem. And today we're going to talk about some of these qualities that you need to cultivate to build and sustain success in your life and work. So moving on to the next slide. So the first one we're going to talk about is having the right attitude. And this may seem a little bit too simple of a concept, but it's honestly the first thing that will keep you moving forward. It's going to keep you in the correct mindset, and it's going to make you a more pleasant person to be around. I want to quickly look at some of the qualities associated with professionalism that tie into having the right attitude. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines professionalism as the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a profession or a professional person, and it defines a profession as a calling requiring specialized knowledge and often long and intensive academic preparation. These definitions imply that professionalism encompasses a number of different attributes, and together these attributes identify and define a professional. So what are these attributes? First and foremost, professionals are known for their specialized knowledge. They've made a deep personal commitment to develop and improve their skills, and where appropriate, they have degrees and certifications that serve as the foundation of this knowledge. Professionals get the job done, they're reliable, and they keep their promises. If circumstances arise that prevent them from delivering on their promises, they manage expectations up front, and they do their best to make the situation right. Professionals don't make excuses, but rather focus on finding solutions. Professionals exhibit qualities such as honesty and integrity. They keep their word, and they can be trusted implicitly because of this. They never compromise their values and will do the right thing, even when it means taking a harder road. Professionals hold themselves accountable for their thoughts, words, and actions, especially when they've made a mistake. This personal accountability is closely tied to honesty and integrity, and it's a vital element in professionalism. They also stay professional under pressure. For instance, a supervisor or manager may be stressed out during their workday if they're getting multiple calls from a client complaining that they haven't received their reports. Perhaps, as was the case here in Florida recently, we had hurricane storms, and that affected many companies being able to effectively get their turnaround times in. And so, you know, that supervisor may be asking their workers to work overtime to help get caught up. And instead of making excuses or getting irate with the customers, the supervisor or manager could calmly take care of the situation just by assuring the clients that the situation will be rectified as soon as possible, and then following up with their workforce to help make that happen. Genuine professionals show respect for the people around them, no matter what their role or situation, and they exhibit a high degree of emotional intelligence by considering the emotions and needs of others, and they don't let a bad day impact how they interact with their colleagues or clients. Professionals look the part also. They don't show up to work sloppily dressed with unkempt hair. They're polished and dressed appropriately for the situation, and because of this, they exude an air of confidence, and they gain respect for this. Even though many healthcare documentation specialists do work from home, it can go a long way in both your attitude and your state of mind to get up, shower, and get ready for the day just as you would if you're working on-site at a hospital or at an office outside the home. So as you can see from these characteristics, professionals are the kind of people that others respect and value. They're a genuine credit to their organization, and this is why it's so important that we work to earn our professional reputation in the workplace. True professionals are the first to be considered for promotions, they're awarded valuable projects or clients, and they're routinely successful in their careers. So now that you have a clear view of what constitutes professionalism, ask yourself, are you demonstrating these characteristics to the people around you? It's likely that you're showing many of these already, but you may find yourself lacking in some. To build your own professionalism, focus on improving each of these characteristics, but take the time to focus on them one at a time so that you don't get too overwhelmed. Okay, so here is a bit of a recap, but a few other strategies thrown in that will help you be more professional in the workplace. Don't let your knowledge and skills get outdated. Make a commitment to build expertise and stay up to date with your industry. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that later. Professionals can sense the emotional needs of others. They're able to give clients and coworkers what they need because they know how to listen actively and observe what's happening. So if you want to improve your professionalism, focus on developing your emotional intelligence. Whenever you make a promise to your boss, clients, or colleagues, make sure that you keep it. If it looks like you won't be able to make a deadline or keep a work shift, let your boss know as soon as possible. But also do what you can to avoid ending up in the same situation again. Don't make excuses. Instead, just focus on meeting the expectation as best you can and on making the situation right. Be kind and polite and use good manners to everyone you come in contact with, no matter what their role is and no matter how you're feeling. This might sound unimportant, but it makes a significant impact. Just think about those times that you've maybe called customer support line for help, or even stopping at a Starbucks for a coffee. How does it make you feel if the person who is providing the service is in a bad mood, if they're being short with customers, being a little snippy, or if their attitude is just kind of, I don't really care? It may make you think twice about returning to that business, or it may pop into your mind that you don't want to have that type of a person working for you. But our experiences are everything, and it makes good sense to be kind and to use good manners. True professionals are always prepared. This requires advanced planning, timeliness, and attention. If this is a challenge for you, focus on improving your time management and planning skills so that you are always in control. Think of ways to help yourself, such as setting your clock ahead 10 or 15 minutes to gain extra cushion in the morning, or setting time limits for completing items so that you're more aware of the time that you're spending on them. Even doing prep the night before to lay out clothes for yourself and your kids, or in prepping breakfast to get them off to school on time and you off to work, can make a huge difference. And if you've ever been around anyone who, no matter what the situation, seems to have nothing nice to say, they only add bad news to the conversation, they criticize every little thing, and generally just bring down the whole mood around for everyone around them. That may be somebody that you know. It may be you. Hopefully not. Probably not. But we all have been around people like that are just kind of negative Nellies, and it really does bring down the mood and can really change your frame of mind. Life can definitely be hard. We all have bad days. There are times when things seem to be going okay and times when it seems like you just can't catch a break. But this again is where emotional intelligence comes into play. EI is the capability of individuals to recognize their own and other people's emotions, discern between those feelings and label them appropriately, use emotional information to guide their thinking and behavior, and manage or adjust their emotions to adapt to their environment and to achieve their goals. So remembering that a positive attitude is a choice, it's certainly a state of mind that's well worth adopting because it will help you cope more easily with the daily happenings in life. It can help you see the bright side of life and also help you be optimistic and expect the best to happen. So all of these things combined will help you maintain professionalism. The second item is to be engaged. So what does that mean? So what does it look like? What does it matter? And how would I benefit? For some of you, hearing the words be engaged may be flooding your mind with those kinds of questions. And all of the extroverts in attendance may already have their minds spinning with ideas and probably have energy that resembles one of these cuties in the pictures. On the other hand, all of the introverts in the audience probably feel like this. Tired, just tired. You probably already know when you are an extrovert or an introvert. And don't worry, I'm not going to do a deep dive on how introverts and extroverts differ or anything like that. That's a whole other webinar topic of its own, I think. But getting back to our questions, what does involvement look like? Why does it matter, and how would you benefit? Oftentimes, getting involved means volunteering for something, to lead a discussion on an assignment, help with a food drive in your community, or getting involved with your professional association, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But why should you volunteer? Some of the reasons could include, first and foremost, because you can make a difference individually and as part of a team. If you've heard the old saying that many hands make lighter work, it's absolutely true. Organizations such as AHDI are not-for-profit, volunteer-based organizations. We rely heavily on help from our volunteers to champion initiatives, contribute articles, be speakers for webinars or for conference, to give us feedback on projects that will help our members in the industry as a whole, and even to run for board positions at the local, state, or national level. Why? Because people within our community are the experts and help pass on their expertise to others in the field. We learn from each other. As you can see in the graphic on the bottom right, there are many ways that people benefit. They gain self-esteem, experience, new skills. Volunteer work can help you advance your career and even earn your fellow designation. Volunteer work also simply is gratifying. It feels good to help others, and it's important to help others and give back to your community. While it may not seem like there are enough hours in the day to add volunteer work to the mix of your life, you'd really be surprised at what you can accomplish or contribute with a little bit of planning and time management. See how that ties in from item number 1. The third quality to empower yourself is to earn your credential. There are lots of reasons listed here about why credentialing is important, such as it shows your commitment to your career and that patients and healthcare providers depend on you, prepares you for new positions, it validates your breadth of knowledge and skills to employers, which is a really important one. Employers that are looking to hire people want to know that you've got that base foundation of knowledge, and by taking a credentialing exam, you can achieve that. It demonstrates that you're trained and certified in HIPAA compliance, distinguishes you from those without a credential, keeps you marketable, and it also can help you get your foot in the door as a new graduate in earning getting that first job. And if you think about it, there are a lot of other professions that have credentialed and licensed people: hairstylists, accountants, doctors, nurses, contractors, fitness trainers at a gym. Their certificates are typically displayed in full view of the public, often a requirement by the state showing that they have achieved that certificate and they do have those qualifications. But could you imagine going to speak with a psychiatrist or hiring a company to build your house without them providing that certificate that's qualifying them as being capable of doing what they say they're going to do? It really is peace of mind for the customer to have that. A few more benefits of being credentialed. You definitely gain some self-confidence and take pride in your work. Certainly those are qualities that you can have without having a credential, but I definitely would say that there's a boost in both of those things when you have a credential. Having those little RHDS or CHDS behind your name really means a lot. You're often sought out as an expert. Your supervisor or manager may seek you out for other positions. Once you gain experience and stuff, they may see that your quality of work is really a standout against the crowd, and they may ask you to be part of the QA team, for example. There may be other options in working with physicians on templates or other things within the EHR that they may recognize in you and see that you're qualified for, and ask you to do those jobs or positions against somebody else who may not have a credential. Oftentimes the salary or wages that credentialed folks make are or reimbursements are part of being credentialed, and things that companies will offer. Sometimes just working, a second or third shift can make you a little bit more of a differential in pay, but there are a lot of companies that that do have a differential pay for those who are credentialed. And of course, you learn and build your knowledge and skills. And we're definitely seeing that more and more employers are moving to a business practice of hiring only credentialed folks. Many companies are in the process now of training, of putting their healthcare documentation specialists and QA specialists through study groups and such to help them become credentialed. So it's definitely a trend that we're seeing, and that is something that will benefit our industry as a whole. So all of these things, you can see that there are great benefits and reasons why it makes sense to get your credential. And we'd encourage everybody to earn their credential soon after graduation from your program. And as you gain further knowledge and experience, you'll then be able to move on from the RHDS credential to the CHDS credential. The RHDS is the Registered Healthcare Documentation Specialist, and the CHDS is the Certified Healthcare Documentation Specialist. So the fourth resource, fourth way to empower yourself is by resourcing yourself. So what do I mean by resourcing? This essentially is just learning, always keeping learning in mind, seeking to know more. There are many ways to gain knowledge through reading articles and blogs. You can network with others, get involved in organizations, as I previously mentioned, and we're going to talk further about a few of those resources that are going to be of benefit to you in your journey through school after graduation and in many years to come in your chosen professional as a healthcare documentation specialist in the next few slides as well. But I do want to let you know that some of these resources I'm going to talk about do tie into AHDI. And for those of you who are not familiar with AHDI, it is the Association for Healthcare Documentation Integrity. It's a national not-for-profit organization that is specifically for healthcare documentation specialists and medical transcriptionists. It is your professional organization. Coders and billers have AHIMA, that's their professional organization. There are, the AMA is the professional organization for physicians. So AHDI is the professional organization for healthcare documentation specialists. So for many of the resources that I'm going to talk about in the next few slides, you do need to be a member of AHDI to access them. There's a lot of materials on our website that you don't have to be a member of AHDI to access, and you're welcome to go out to the website and view. There's many toolkits and white papers and different things out there, but we do offer our members some special access to different things. So those are a few of the things I'm going to talk about. But one thing I do want to note is that membership for students is free. You do not have to pay a fee to join AHDI. So while AHDI does have many alliances with which people can become involved, we do have this one called the New Professionals Alliance. This one is specifically geared towards new graduates or those who are new to the field of healthcare documentation. You can see that it's open to all AHDI members who want to participate. This group is all about exchanging information, networking, and addressing specific topics for new professionals. And you can see there again, the primary objective is networking and information sharing. So the scope of work that the New Professionals Alliance does, and Tina Wilson, who is on staff with AHDI, is the staff liaison for this group. But you can see a little recap here of what the New Professionals Alliance is about, kind of what they do. Just to give you a little bit more information about alliances in general, they work at the direction of the National Leadership Board, which is what we call our board of directors. An example of something that the NPA is working on is that they plan to hold monthly study group sessions for the AHDS exam. This is going to be starting soon. There are going to be guest speakers for each session to address pre-planned topics, and those are already decided and great topics that we're going to be covering. But it's a great way to learn tips during each of the sessions, as well as make connections with your peers who are in the same place as you career-wise. So that is a great benefit, just having that camaraderie, having those experts help you, kind of guide you as you're studying for the AHDS exam in a study group setting, but it's also going to be live, so there's going to be opportunity for questions and answers right then, and certainly we'll have means available for follow-up as well afterwards. So once you're a student member of AHDI, you can log in using your username and password to access the NPA forum. There are step-by-step instructions provided on the website, and here's just a little snippet. Here's a couple of different ways. You can see that on the website at the link above. You would just go straight to the forums by either clicking on the blue button, or if you have ever been on our website, you'll see that we have kind of a right sidebar that has all these little boxes. In the search and connect box, I've highlighted there that you can find an online forum, so you can also click there to easily access the forum. If you're not logged in at the time, it'll prompt you to log in, so you don't have to worry about that step. Here's just a little bit of background information about the different forums that we have, the types of forums that we have. We have a professional practices network. This is kind of my area. It has information included in it like about styles and standards, about clinical medicine questions. So there are those types of questions that people can ask about. Maybe you can't decide the right way to, or you can't remember the right way to transcribe specific gravity 1025. And if you don't have your book of style handy to be able to look that up, you could go out to the forum and ask that question, and me or another person who is an expert that is an administrator on that forum would respond, and we would say you transcribe that 1.020, what did I say, 1025, so that'd be 1.025. And then we have these special interest alliances, which are again, what I'm talking about here with the NPA, New Professionals Alliance. So that's a whole section of all the different alliances that we offer at AHDI. Again, you'll have access to those in being a member. And then we do also have a community forum, which is a section that is public. You don't have to be a member of AHDI in order to access that community forum. It's for general questions. And then, of course, we do have our typical, full-fledged instructions that you can download and read, and then just an agreement for participating. You're going to follow the rules. So our next slide, here I'm just showing a couple of screenshots of some categories of information. If we have time at the end, maybe we can take a minute or two for a live demo if anybody would like to see the forums more in depth. But I do have a few things listed here. So you can see that under professional practices, we have education and career, style, format, and industry standards, clinical medicine, and then down below here is the general discussion area. And then this is kind of a snapshot here in this bottom right corner of the special interest alliances. So you can see that several other alliances that we have are related to advocacy. We have a business alliance, educators alliance, managers supervisors alliance. Audrey is part of our educators alliance, and that's one of the ways that I work with her closely, as she had mentioned at the beginning. So this is just a snapshot of actually looking at one of the, looking at the NPA forum. It's much like any other forum if you've ever visited one where you've got questions that are posted by people and then responses. You can see how many replies there are. You can post new questions, you can respond to other people's questions, you can share your experiences. There are all different categories and topics that can be used in a forum. You can subscribe to different forums, as I mentioned, and in fact, the forum is searchable, and you can subscribe not only to individual forums, but you can also subscribe to specific topics within a forum. So for example, if somebody asks a question about how to find your first job and you want to be notified every time a new person responds, you can subscribe to that topic, and that way you'll get an email every time somebody new responds to that question, and that could be a thread that you want to follow closely to get that information as soon as possible. Alternately, you can always go back and back to that forum thread and just read it at your leisure. But for some of those hot topics, it might be, especially when you're expecting, you know, multiple responses, it is a good idea to subscribe to those. And then, of course, you can also unsubscribe, you know, once you get your information, or if you don't want to, you know, be notified of any further information that's being posted to that thread, you can unsubscribe for it too. And that doesn't mean that you're unsubscribing from the entire forum, just that specific topic. Okay, so now we are getting to some of the good stuff. So OWLS, what is OWLS? It is an acronym that stands for Observe, Work, Learn, Succeed. AHDI's board had tasked a group of volunteers, the Membership Development Work Group, with evaluating AHDI's membership structure to include categories, benefits, and dues. And while developing recommendations for the board's review and consideration, they suggested a Career Prep Academy. So subsequently, that was approved by the board. And from there, they tasked the Educators Alliance with championing this initiative and helping it take shape. So the Educators Alliance, or EA as we like to call them, is comprised mostly of educators such as Audrey in healthcare documentation and allied fields. We also have instructors who work in coding and billing, and other stakeholders in education and career advancement who all help with this initiative. The EA members and staff did come up with the structure for the Academy. We provided tons of ideas and went over lots of things that we thought that would be helpful to students and new graduates. And something that I do want to make clear, though, is that the Academy is not a replacement for healthcare documentation programs, such as the program you're taking with CanScribe. It's simply complementary information and activities that are going to help you learn and grow as you're working towards your goals in healthcare documentation and finishing your program. So as I had mentioned earlier, Tina Wilson on staff, we are the liaisons to the Educators Alliance. We provide administrative support as well as copy editing, technical support, and web page design. And I did just do all of that. I posted all the updates for the OWLS Academy just yesterday, so that all information is all live. So to access OWLS Academy, once you're logged into the website at ahdionline.org, there are several ways to navigate to the OWLS page. You can see here that you can simply navigate under your career down to the OWLS Academy tab. You can also just type in ahdionline.org/OWLS Academy in your browser window, and it'll come up. That may be something you want to add to your favorites. And you can also get to it from the dedicated student page, which I'm going to be showing on the next slide. But again, just as a reminder, you do have to be logged in. You do have to be a member of HDI to access all of this information, because it is a benefit of being a member of HDI. So here's where I was saying, under the Get Involved tab, when you go down to access your benefits and then over to student and postgrad members, when you click on that tab, there are going to be a bunch of lots of other information on that dedicated page for students and postgraduate members, and one of those will be the OWLS Academy link. So several ways to get to the page. Okay, so once you click on that, you're going to be looking here at this. This is a snapshot of the OWLS Academy landing page. It's hosted by none other than Albert, the AHDI OWL. We had a naming contest for our OWL in which we asked students and postgraduates to send in names, and so Albert was the one that was chosen as voted on by the group. So you're going to see him on various OWLS Academy pages and in different materials that we put out about the OWLS Academy. So you can see that each of the words in green, that stands for the OWLS. Those are all hyperlinks that go to the respective dedicated web page that houses information activities listed under each item. So if you wanted to see and read about the student who's being spotlighted, or find out information about volunteering or leadership or recognition, you would click on Observe. If you're close to finishing your transcription program, or simply trying to get ahead of the game and being prepared for what's ahead, you might want to click on the Work tab to access the new hire prep tests and other career-related resources. The Learn page has a multitude of both fun and challenging activities. These are all things that our Educators Alliance has contributed, and so Audrey helps out with many of those, so you're going to see her name on many of the resources. Certainly, last but not least, we have the Succeed page, which includes credentialing, credentialing tips, information about the AHDI-F exam, preparation, certification, and we do now also list all of the names of newly credentialed. Those are published in Plexus, they're put out in the newsletter, and we do have a dedicated page. So if you want to see your peers who have successfully completed the AHDI-F exam, you can go to that page to see all of those listings. Okay. So this is a little bit closer look at just one of the dedicated pages, the Learn page. The Inquiring Minds Wants to Know, that's the column that Audrey does. So this slide is a bit outdated. We've got way more resources listed. I probably should have updated that. And if we do a live demo, I can go over and show you those resources. But there are many resources out there. We just happened to start this academy in July of 2016, so that's why it only goes back so far. But we do leave the archives of all of these every time they're updated. There's the new date, and they are updated every other month. These coincide with the Plexus themes and when Plexus comes out. So that's where all those listings are. But you can see that there are many different resources here, lots of dedicated information, how-to with tips, how to transcribe all these different things, cardiac enzymes and all these different things. And, you know, these can be used in order. You may want to look at them in the order as they're published. But the other thing that you can do is, you know, when you come across working in the gastroenterology chapter of your student program, maybe you want to go back and look at those resources and do those activities and look at that information. When you get to cardiology, maybe that's when you'd want to come back and look at the cardiac enzymes. So there's no have-to way of doing these in any specific order. You can look at any of these resources at any time, you know, for however it makes sense to you or where you're at in your program. And they're always going to be available. Plexus is our member magazine, so this is just showing you a little bit closer look at the Game Changers column. This is a specific column for students that we have in every issue of Plexus. We also have a dedicated activity for students that's published in Plexus, and all of those are noted on this page. So when you click on any of these links for the Game Changers, that'll take you straight over to the Plexus page, and you can download that issue to read. You also have access to all the past archive issues of Plexus. We also, I think I talked a little bit perhaps, but for Plexus we do have an editorial calendar that can be downloaded from the Plexus landing page on our website. But because Plexus is a member benefit, it shouldn't be shared with anyone, but we do want to encourage you again that student members are free, so you can come and get your own membership and your own subscription to Plexus. It's part of being a member, and you'll always have access to it. And each issue, again, there's lots of great articles in there that you'll be able to read and look at those archives. We have past articles on emotional intelligence, for example. So it's great resource. Okay, another resource is the Book of Style, and we do currently have out the 3rd edition Book of Style, but we also have a work group that is working on the 4th edition. It's still going to be a little bit before it's published. We're anticipating next summer. So we still have some work to be done on it. There's a lot involved with not only rewriting and updating the information that's in the Book of Style, but just publishing it. There's formatting and lots of things that go into that as well, making sure that we've got online versions available as well as print copies, and those sorts of details. But what's in the Book of Style is great information. You're probably already using the 3rd edition in your program, but what is going to be updated in the Book of Style is going to be much more geared towards editing speech recognition, because that is a huge trend for many years now, that companies have been going to hospitals, clinics, no matter what type of setting you're in, they are using some type of an electronic format. So many of the styles and standards that are included in this book are examples and updated information related to speech editing and how to handle those types of situations. We do also have a new section that we're going to be including that's called Facility Best Practices. And we're adding chapters to this section. There's a lot of information on copy-paste, gender issues, how to handle those types of things, because it's not as cut and dried as it used to be. And then, of course, there's always been longstanding issues with ESL dictators, or English as a second language, where depending on their culture, they may not use pronouns, or and oftentimes when they're speaking English, they use the wrong pronoun when they're speaking about a person, or may mix that all throughout the record that they're dictating or that you see on your screen that you're editing. So it may be a male patient, but they may say he throughout, they may say she throughout, or a mix of those types of things. And then we also have a chapter that we're working on with normals and templates. And this is information that helps provide facilities with some guidance on how to develop those templates, how to institute best practices for those templates, because we need some standards in this area with many, many different types of electronic health records being available, with there being many types of transcription platforms. We have to have some standardization in this area in order for things to be uniform and for interoperability to be to work well and be consistent. So all of those things we're going to talk about in the Book of Style. Symbols, all those kinds of things. All the typical stuff is going to still be in there. One other change that we're doing with the Book of Style 4th edition is that a lot of the teaching points for grammar and punctuation are going to be taken out of the Book of Style, but they're not going away completely. We're going to have a companion manual for those who still want that resource that gives a little bit more guidance on those types of things. We know that schools often offer those types of things anyway. So we just wanted to make sure that we really have the most up-to-date information in the Book of Style. So that is a quick recap of the 4th edition that is to come. So moving on to our last topic, I think we are getting kind of close on time, and I want to leave time for questions, so I will move through the last section here. The last quality to empower yourself for success is to stay ahead of the trends. So how do you do this? One way, as I mentioned, is by becoming a member of HDI, and as you can see on your screen, there are lots and lots of benefits that HDI members receive. Discounts on products like Dell, Stedman's, newsletters, discounts on annual conference, even opportunities to win free registration to conference, special member pricing on credentialing exams and prep materials, a lot of networking opportunities. Of course, you get Plexus, you get access to Owls Academy, lots of good stuff there. Plexus, there's lots of opportunities. We had mentioned briefly earlier mentoring, finding job leads. We do have a career connection to find, which is a method of finding jobs that are out there. Those are current postings. Make lifelong friends, networking, volunteering, educational opportunities. So lots and lots to do at AHDI. It's structured, our leaders and resources are all really great resources, and I can't say enough about our volunteers. They really do are most willing to share their expertise, to help mentor, to do what they can to you know, help others in their career. Most people that are in this field love their job. They are you know, have had good careers, and they are happy to help somebody else as they are just beginning theirs. We already talked about Plexus a little bit earlier. As I mentioned, it's our premier magazine that helps members stay up to date on what's happening in the industry and also in the healthcare community in general. We have lots of articles in Plexus that are based on industry topics like styles and standards, credentialing, transcription tools, advocacy, and we also include themes that are clinical medicine. That is a little bit of a deeper dive into the latest and greatest advancements in medicine, pharmacology, all of those related issues. And as I mentioned earlier, archive issues are always available. There's below this screen on the website, there's a whole section that has all of the archive copies. It is an electronic magazine. You can order a print copy if you would like, but they're always available online. Another resource that we have is newsletters. These are a great way to stay on top of trends. Membership Matters goes out the third week of the month, and it includes all kinds of information related to HDI, opportunities, what's going on in the industry. Resource Central is another newsletter that goes out. It's got a lot of great information. We always have discounts on products in there, special access to webinars, tips, great events that are coming up in the community, whether you have a local component or a state regional who may be hosting an event, and then of course our national events. And we also include on our events calendar, we have events such as HIMA's conference, the HIMSS conference, other things that are related in our industry. Those typically move around from place to place, year to year, so that could be something that you might be interested in attending if it's close to where you live that particular year. And then at the bottom here, we do also have a health record integrity e-brief that goes out once a week on Wednesdays. It is a compilation of news items related to the industry. It could be anything from, as you can see here, the use of medical scribes, lots of information about that, lots of information about electronic health records, HIPAA, standards, EHR adoption, things in legislation, all kinds of news out there that's related to our industry. A new benefit that we're offering is a subscription to For the Record magazine that is free for all of our members. I'm not going to go too much into that, but there are more details on the website if you'd like a little bit more information. And then we also have our Healthcare Documentation Integrity Conference. This past year we were in San Antonio, Texas, and next year we're going to be in Orlando, Florida. It is definitely a great place to network, to meet new people, speak with vendors, and it's really great for education. And we do move around the country. Every year we're in a different location, trying to hit all the different areas so that we can be, you know, hopefully close to you know, where everybody's at. We want to try to hit all the different areas so that everybody's got an opportunity to come. But we have a lot of great information about that on our website as well. And I tell you, this is something where you just, it's so invigorating to go to conference, and you really meet a lot of new people, and you really make lifelong friends at these things, which is really great. So, okay, so that brings us to question and answer time.
Excellent. Oh, Kristin, as usual, she just gave us super information. And if you guys aren't interested in pursuing some of this, I wouldn't imagine that you couldn't stay away. It really is everything she said and more. I do encourage you all to especially check out the Owls Academy and the New Professionals Alliance just to start out. You know, things can be overwhelming at first, but just if you kind of get your feet wet there, I think you'll be really excited. Karen has a question. Is AHDI All-American? Is it still relevant in Canada?
It is. It is international. We have members from Australia, from England, from Canada. We do. Canadians are more than welcome to join AHDI.
And I think it's a real boon. I do believe, this is my personal little push here, but I do believe eventually we're going to have to go to a completely credentialed workforce. There's just no way around that. And if people do not have their credential, they won't be able to get jobs, just because with the amount of major and critical errors that I see every day, I can't imagine a workforce that's not required to be credentialed. So, but yeah, and it is international, Karen, and you just won't, it crosses all borders. The information is just wonderful. Sandra's,
yeah.
Thank you so much. Sandra was saying earlier that she absolutely loves the website, so thank you. That's awesome. And she loves the book. I always have loved having the physical book rather than the electronic resource so I can find something, just because I'm an index person and I like finding it that way. But definitely, Sandra, you're right on. There's so much information there that you could spend weeks on there and still not find it all. Alice?
Yeah. I was just going to say that I use both. I love my print copy too. I have it all marked up and tabs everywhere to find it. But I also like an electronic version when I really have to find something.
Right, exactly. And Allison says that she was on the NPA committee. Good for you. And it's excellent and amazing. Awesome. They are great. Everybody that I've come into contact with at AHDI has been fabulous. And Kristin is right. You just make friends and you feel like you have people that understand what you're doing. That's the important thing. Catherine says it sounds amazing and a little bit overwhelming, but yes, that's normal. And that's what I said. You don't have to jump into the pool and experience everything. Just, stick your toe in and see how you like it.
Right. And take some time to look around the website, especially like Audrey said, the Owls Academy. There's a lot of information there, but once you kind of learn to navigate your way around the website and where to find things, it'll all sort of click and make a lot more sense.
Right. And even if you decide to volunteer for something, you can even join something and just be a silent member, sit there and listen to what happens on the committee, and maybe pal up with somebody and do something with someone and get a feel for it, find out what your strengths are. And you'd be surprised, some of us that are a little bit more shy, it can bring you out of yourself. It can make you believe that you do have all these talents and you should be using them. So that has been my experience anyway.
Yes, it is definitely a confidence booster for sure. It is, even if you're attending, like Audrey said, kind of silently, you join because you just want to kind of see what's going on, what they're talking about. You will find pretty quickly that you have a lot of knowledge. You may go into it thinking, I don't know anything, I'm going to learn from others, but you'd be surprised what knowledge and ideas you can bring to the table. And we really need that. We encourage fresh ideas. We encourage these collaborative efforts, because you may have something that you learned in PTA or some other group organization or work setting that could be applied to something that we're doing that would be a benefit to everyone. So there's great work being done when we collaborate.
Right. And I think, too, the point that cannot be stressed enough, you folks are the future. You folks are going to be the future of healthcare documentation. And it is very important that we have people that can, carry the torch forward when, us dinosaurs die off, which we always do. Because of smoking. I'm kidding. But we do need somebody to carry on the work, and the more that you learn now, the better you will be then. So, and it's something too, when you're thinking about the RHDS and plexus and all that, you kind of get a feeling for it. And then if you do want to go on and become the CHDS, there are continuing educational credits built right in there. So if you're lacking, in some area, which happens, you can use the archived plexus or the current ones as long as they're within the time frame, and you can get your continuing educational credits that way. So it's a great organization. I've just been blessed to be a part of it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I urge you all to just, take this knowledge with you today, and I can't thank you enough, Kristin. That was absolutely perfect.
Oh, you're most welcome.
So this will be available on the posted up with the webinar recording as a PDF, so you can review it. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. Or I did. I will. Anyway, have a great day, you folks, and thank you all for coming, and thank you again, Kristin.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.